Okay, so for the record, participants who are not on the commission are currently muted. When we come to the citizens' comments period, I will enable chat, and we ask that you put your name and address in the chat window, and we'll call on you in order. That's we've been following the same model that the Board of Finance was using.
Thank you, Tara. Good evening. Call this special meeting of the Town of Thompson Planning and Zoning Commission to order. It is Thursday, June 11th, 2020, 7:01 p.m. We will begin with a roll call of members. Mr. Lanky.
John B. Linky, present.
Okay, Ricky, try that link I just sent.
Mr. Werge.
Robert
Hey.
Ward, present.
Ms. Chattel.
Present.
Mr. Santos.
Brian Santos, present.
Mr. Hill.
Alvin Hill, present.
Ms. Langlois.
Present.
Ms. DeRogers.
Missy DeRozier is present.
Mr. Rice.
John Rice, yes, present.
And I haven't Joseph Brody Brown present. I don't believe I've missed anyone. Alvin Hill will be seated for Randy Blackmer, and Brian Santos will be seated for Christopher Nelson. A reminder that this meeting is being recorded, and we do ask, as Ms. Pangesic outlined, the procedure for indicating that you wish to speak at the time of the public hearing, and we do ask, if possible, to turn on your video when you are speaking. Item 2, public hearing. Planning and Zoning Commission application 20-08, applicant J&J Construction, LLC property, owner Richard DeRogers, 484 and 486 Quadic Town Farm Road, map 158, block 20, lot 81, for a gravel operation permit.
Are you opening to comment now?
Just a minute, Missy.
Yes, I will recuse myself.
Thank you.
Yep.
And so the public hearing is open. We'll begin with the applicant.
Excuse me, what'd you say?
Mr. Perotti, are we unmuted?
Yes, you are.
My name is Janet Blanchette. I'm with J&D Civil Engineers. With me this evening is my colleague Daniel Blanchette. We are representing the applicant, Richard DeRozier, J&J Construction. I was wondering if it would be possible to share the set of plans on the screen while I make the presentation, and I can go through the plan set sheet by sheet and explain the project to the audience and the members.
Certainly. Tara, are you prepared to do that now, or I can do that as well, I believe?
I haven't tried to share somebody else's screen, but I think if Janet clicks on share screen, it'll ask me to give her permission, but we'll see how that works.
I thought the commission was going to share their copy, but
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were saying that you were sharing from your screen. Let's see. Let me find it then.
I haven't done that before, but I could try.
Yeah.
Do you have it, Joe?
I have it, but when I click share, it says that participant screen sharing is disabled.
Let's see.
Yes, mine as well.
I just enabled share screen.
Do you already have it?
So we got to browse out to what we want then, right?
I'll let you click.
Oh, excellent. Thank you.
Yes.
Well, basically, the first sheet of plans shows, is this the location of the site, which is on Quadic Town Farm Road. Its address is 484 and 486. It's east of Stump Pond, south of Robbins Brook. And you can see where it says site on the location map. If you'd like to go to sheet 2, there's a little more going on there. Okay, so this application encompasses 2 residential lots. They total about 30 acres in size. To give you a little bit of history about this property, there was first gravel being removed in 1997, and the area that's colored in green is what I refer to as the previous gravel excavation area. And that area started in 1997, and another permit was issued for it in 2000. And then most of the activity on the site did cease between about 2005 and 2018. And those chats coming up are.
Yeah, I just didn't disable them again. I thought we were going right into public comment. I will open the chat window up again when you're done with your piece. Jen.
Okay, that sounds great. So basically, Mr. DeRosiers has owned the property virtually all of that time. He always intended on building his retirement home there. And so most of the activity ceased. And then he started again in 2019 because he wanted to build his house. He thought he had, that his old previous permits were still valid, but they were not. And so he was issued a cease and desist order in April by the zoning enforcement officer. And he had been hauling gravel in 2020. We calculated that the amount of gravel he removed was 4,802 cubic yards. And so that was submitted as part of the application. And then the town was able to calculate the application fee on the basis of what had already been removed in 2020. So the green, as I explained before, is pretty much the previous permit area. That area is down to the grade that it was approved in 2000, which is elevation 410. And it's just full of a lot of stockpiles, and it's kind of his working stockyard area. There's 2 other phases indicated on this colored plan. The orange, kind of at the top right, is phase 1. That's what he was actively working at because he wants to complete his driveway. There's a lot of, it's really near the driveway that he wants to come in to build the house that's in part of phase 1. It's kind of the square with the brick red color. And then, after he lives there a few years and builds his dream final home, it's going to be in the yellow area, which is called phase 2. And that's ultimately where he'd like to build his house. But that's kind of future. I just kind of showed it for the interest of the commission. It's the house in phase 1 is what he's working towards doing right now. It's a little bit difficult to see without blowing up, but I think you can see I think the commissioners also have copies of the plans. We did install 3 standpipes. They're kind of in the shape of an asterisk right down the middle of the property. And as soon as we started surveying on that property, we installed those in the wettest season that we could. We did do all new topography on this site. Anything that's outside the wooded areas is topography that we collected in April and May. We shot over 2,000 topographic points, and we also calculated the volume of topsoil that was available in the topsoil stockpiles on the site. This site, as you can see, is well behind the residential houses on Quadic Town Farm Road. In the center of the site is approximately 700 feet from the closest residence, and it's significantly lower than Quadic Town Farm Road, on the order of 70 to 90 feet. So it is far removed and down at a low elevation. And I think if you wouldn't mind moving up to sheet 3, Mr. Chairman, I think I'm ready for that. So sheet 3 is a blow up of the northern half of the operation. This is mostly a grading plan, and it just shows in a blown up detail where the stockpiles are, the grading for the driveway, the drainage swales along the driveway, the erosion and sediment control.
Good boy, good boy.
I don't know, I just started getting some video feedback. I wasn't sure if a commission member was asking me a question or not. I apologize for stopping mid-sentence.
I think you're all set. Please continue.
Okay. And I mean, so basically, oh, it also does show in the middle, right in the middle of the plan, there's a rectangle for the fueling pad. That was one of the zoning enforcement officer's comments that I received in May, which I will get to those eventually. And one thing that is of note is that the previously approved section was approved down to elevation 410. And for those of you comfortable reading contour maps, I mean, you can see all the lines as they go up. The phase 1 section is much, much higher than that. The walkout basement of the house is at 412, and then it bumps up to the actual house finished floor elevation of 426. So this is, 10 to 15 feet higher than the approved flat area down at the bottom. I guess we could please move to sheet 4. So sheet 4 shows the grading plan for the southern half of the property. It shows right below the match line, most of that is a gigantic stockpile of material there as part of the previous permit area that's southwest of the proposed house. And then at the southernmost end of the property in the middle of your sheet, you see there's a knoll. It's a gravel knoll. It's up at about elevation 440, and it will be removed down to elevation 426 as phase 2 of the gravel operation. I guess what I should mention is the quantities of gravel to be removed. In phase 1, it was 10,900 cubic yards, and phase 2 is 6,500 cubic yards. We did receive a copy of Cindy's comment letters, and her letter dated May 18th. There was about 7 points. Most of the items had to do with things that could be added to the plan, which J&D did, and which Cindy acknowledged in her June 1st, 2020 letter. There was a few paperwork items regarding the applicant's name and adding both lots to the application, which Mr. DeRozier's did submit on June 5th. So we believe that the comments from the zoning enforcement officer have been addressed either on the application or in the plan set before you. As far as time schedule, phase 1, Mr. DeRozier can finish that by the end of 2020. He'd really like to wrap it up in time to get some seeding and some vegetation established in the fall and start working on his house. Phase 2 is further out. He's thinking that he won't get to phase 2 for 2 or 3 years. Basically, when we prepared these plans, we started from scratch. We reviewed the town's current regulations, and it was our intent to prepare these plans to fully comply with the planning and zoning regulations in section 5. We do believe that the project meets the regulations. And Mr. DeRozier is more than just a gravel contractor on this project. This is his personal land. He intends to live on it and become part of the neighborhood. And he's going to leave the land in a nice state because it's basically going to be his front yard and his backyard. And actually, most of the gravel of this, on this property was removed previously. If you had to like say a percentage, I would say 75% of this site was previously gravelled. And this is really kind of on the home stretch. This is the last 25% to remove the gravel, to get the site stabilized and reclaimed and really truly turn into the true residential lots that it is. You know, he is anxious to complete this and have the gravel operation, you know, be completed as soon as possible. And with that, I guess that's all the points that I wanted to highlight as J&D's formal presentation. We're obviously going to stay here with you to answer any questions. So thank you, Commission.
Thank you. Any questions for Ms. Blanchett at this time from the commission?
I do, Joe. Yeah. Go ahead, Rick. Go ahead, Rick.
I'd like to add those, a couple of those stockpiles were previously.
Would you mind, sorry, sir, just because of the audio, just your name and address for the record.
Oh, Victor Rocher, 11 Home Street. So what I'd like to add is the stockpiles that were previously screened is for the initial driveway coming in. It's all 3-inch minus. So those stockpiles, as soon as I cut that driveway from the top, they're going to be gone. That's what I'm going to use to top dress that road coming in. I don't think I told Janet that in the last meeting we had, so I just wanted to add that to it.
Thank you, Mr. DeRoche. Mr. Santos?
Rick just answered my question. Phase 1 is, so there's 10,900 more cubic yards to go, and the stockpiles that are there now are just going to be reutilized because you screened them.
Correct.
Okay. And the phase 2 over the next 2 to 3 years, that's the balance of the 6,500 yards that Janet walked through?
Correct. That's an additional 6,500 yards in phase 2.
Yep. Do you have the hay bales and silt fencing still on the perimeter of the property, Rick?
I don't have any erosion. I never had erosion. I've contained it within the site for 20 years. So previously we did in 99, and I believe it was Calvin Words was the wetland enforcement agent at that time. And four-wheelers were coming over from other and trying to ride in the property, and they were actually going through Robbins Brook. So she had to block it off. And since then there's been barbed wire, and there's actually trees growing out of my loom pile now, so.
Yeah. I did a Google Earth search before the meeting, and it looked like you had pretty substantial natural growth vegetation around the perimeter of the property anyway, but I didn't get a visual of the site, so I figured I ask you that question.
Okay.
I'm glad to hear it schedule-wise that it's finally getting to the final stages here. It's been obviously going on for quite some time. This is a general comment.
It's all right.
Thank you, Mr. Santos. Any other commissioner questions at this time?
Bob Word.
Go ahead, Mr. Werge.
The only question I'm asking is for Cindy's input on it. What is her position? How does she feel about the plan, et cetera?
Well, as I stated in my memo, I went through the plan, and my original letter of May pointed out seven issues on the application and the plan, and they were taken care of by either the applicant or Janet. So why don't I just go over the 7 issues? And then there was one comment I made, suggestion, so that would make it 8. So the first one was that the applicant's name need to be put in as Richard DeRoja, DBA J&J Construction LLC. And it was consistent with the trade certificate that he is he has filed. So Janet's response to the applicant addressed this item, and my response on June 11th was a letter from the applicant stating the name change. Let me see that letter. I believe you have that. Sorry, guys, it's paperwork all over the place here. Yes, here it is. J&J Construction. This is letters in response to CEO comments following the 5/26 meeting, and we're asking to amend the application to read as follows. The first request was the applicant's name, and so you need to vote on amending the application to the applicant's name, Richard P. DeRosa, DBA J&J Construction LLC. My second comment was needs to amend the application to add lot 8J and the letter that I received on June 5th. The second point was we need to amend that the applicant is going to add lot 8J. And the third comment I had was the application read that it was a gravel permit and earth removal for driveway construction. And after conversing with Mr. DeRosa, this is actually just a gravel operation in 2 phases. And so we need to amend the application, vote to amend the application to the descriptions to read gravel operation in 2 phases. So those are apparent, those are 3 issues that can be resolved by an amendment. So the 4th issue is the fuel pad, which is added, and I confirmed that it was added to the site plan. Let me turn the page here. 4th issue was a little misconception on the blasting comments. There were 2 blasting comments in the original site plan, and they sort of contradicted each other. And so they revised it, and notes revised to reflect that there will be no blasting on the site. The 6th comment was the times. So we got the times down to, I believe she put the times on the application for Monday through Saturday from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. But I believe that the commission, we just voted one application recently. It's on Saturdays from 7 a.m. to 12 p.m. So that would have to be a condition if you guys agree with it. There was a little confusion on the configuration of the amount that has been taken out since January 1st, 2020. We resolved that with me revisiting the invoices that were in the packet, the applicant's packet. The 8th one was my suggestion due to some experience that we've had on that road. And my suggestion was to add trucks entering and exiting ahead signs on Watertown Pond Road. And they are addressed on the application. So other than that, we have the site, the water plans there. Sorry, looking for my papers. And I got the updated figures Monday. I have to look at the application. Sorry, guys. I believe the figures are updated to May 27th or 8th, Janet, on the water table.
Yes.
Okay. Oh. I don't have that right in front of me right now. I'm sorry. If you have, they go, I think, between like 6 feet, and one of them is one date was, okay, I only have it up to the 11th. But the most recent one was up to 8, one up to almost 9. It is a dry time, and these will be monitored. The standpipe, that's what I'm looking for, the word. word, I'm sorry. And these will be monitored throughout the process of excavation. I've seen the stockpiles that he is going to be using for reclamation. From what I know, any work that has been done on the property since the cease and desist of selling gravel has ceased. And from what I understand, Mr. DeRosa owns his own business where he uses the material that is on his property for his job sites. So that is his material. It is his property. If you want to call that a gray area, he is trucking it in and out of there for his job sites. I also have been told by Mr. DeRosa that no, he is not there beyond 5:30 and without standing guard 24/7. I have to take Mr. DeRosa's word that he is complying with not working after the 5. Of course, he says 5:30, so that's a half hour. Any other questions from the commission members for me?
Looks like
Charlene.
Charlene's trying to say something.
Yeah, you're still muted, Charlene.
Oh, there we go. Sorry. Is this like, can we ask general questions or just on Cindy's response right now?
Nope, you can, yeah, ask a question.
I guess my one question is that if I was a homeowner, what are the hours that I could work on my property if I was doing something in my yard? Is that different than somebody as a company doing work in somebody's yard?
Are you talking specifically about gravel work, Charlene?
Well, I guess my concern would be like, once the gravel work is done and he starts building his house, does all building have to cease at 5:30 or at like what's, and if that's the case, then everybody stops working in the town of Thompson at 5:30 and nothing can be done on Saturdays on your day off or Sunday? And we would, is that what we're saying with him on that? Or are we just talking the gravel time? Once the gravel's done, you know, he has to run from 7 to 5 or 5:30, whatever the time is, and he only can do Saturday till 12.
Joseph, if I may, John Rice. Charlene, that hours of operation pertains only to that gravel mining permit.
Okay.
That's it. Yeah, anybody else, you do what you want on your own property.
Okay, I was just questioning that.
That's just a condition of that permit, should it be approved.
Okay, thank you.
The hours of operation.
Mr. Chairman?
Mr. DeRogers?
Hi,
No.
I can answer that. I'm gonna have Barnes take out the rest of that gravel. It's in my way right now. So he starts like at 7 in the morning, and I know he has to be back at 3:30 with his trucks. So maybe 4 the latest, them trucks are gonna be hauling out of there. So you're not gonna see that massive, and you're not gonna hear that beeping in the loader, you know what I mean? Till after like 3:30, that's it. So they shut down. It's just to help out any.
Thank you. If there are no other questions for the applicant at this time, Tyra, I believe we will open up to the members of the public.
Okay, although I thought I saw Alvin come on with a question. Alvin, is that right? Did you have a question?
Well, I want to address Charlene's concern. When he pulls a building permit to build his home, then, you know, his working hours is going to be his personal choice.
Correct.
You know, this permit is only for gravel.
Correct.
That's what I just said.
Thank you, Mr. Hill.
This is Randy.
Mr. Blackmer.
On Cindy's,
Sorry, just one moment, Randy. Alvin Hill is now seated for
Nelson.
Mike Krogel. Go ahead,
by the
Mr.
way,
Blackmer.
it took me a while to get online. I was on for most of Janet's report, so I didn't miss a whole lot. On Cindy's report, did Inland Wetlands have anything to say Tuesday night on the Inland Wetland Commission meeting?
Just on the areas they have issues with. I mean, I have the minutes here if you want me to read the whole minute.
Actually, I don't care. It just said that be advised the Inland Wetlands Commission must approve. I mean, approval must be submitted. So is that a positive thing at this point, or is that going to be a fly in the ointment?
He's not working in the wetlands, and the only thing that he's going through, from what I understand from reading the minutes and talking to Marla, the only thing that he's working with the inland wetlands is in the upland review area. And the drawings that are on file for viewing during the meeting have been green lines drawn, outlining the areas of the 100-foot upland review area that are going to be disturbed as a result of grading or stabilization with grass cover. An issue arose that one of the areas in green outline shows stockpile was going on the neighboring property off Tim Rice. And there's a letter in their file and our file from Mr. Rice giving permission to enter onto his property to remove stockpile materials just north of their common property line. Janet showed the drawings, which areas are going to be affected with grading and stabilization. Marla shows that there's going to be stone disturbance from improving the driveway. And Janet stated it's going to be upgraded with gravel to make it an all-season driveway. Marla stated her questions regarding the application have been answered. And then the rest of it has to do with giving it an extra week's time to process a petition that surrounding neighbors had sent to Inland Wetlands. But basically what Marla said to me, and let me get my notes, is
Cindy, if I can butt in. Cindy,
Sure.
if I can butt in, I see Mr. O'Neill. I believe he's the chairman of that. Maybe he can just inform us if that application was approved or not. I don't think we have to know what wetlands is requiring of him. I think it's just if they approve the application, then I think that's good enough for us.
Yes.
Mr. O'Neill?
Thank you. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Thank you, everyone. I would have to defer to our Inland Wetlands agent. However, my recollection is that there was a deferral, as you pointed out, for citizens' comments. And Marla is waiting to receive those comments and to render her decision, I believe, is it the 16th, whatever the date is, next week. So it's basically deferred. So there has no final decision from Inland Wetlands.
Thank you, Mr. O'Neill.
You're welcome.
But correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. O'Neill, he's not doing anything on the property in the phases. There aren't any wetlands on there. So he doesn't need, this application is not dependent on approval for what he's looking for approval from the wetlands, because he's not doing for the upland review. You know, Janet, maybe you can shed some light on this since you're working with both.
I'd be happy to relay what Marla relayed to me, and I took notes from it. Oops. Hi. What Marla relayed to me is, in the eyes of the state, there's a significant difference between an individual permit and a wetland agent approval, because if there is no work in the wetlands, then an individual permit isn't required. And so the agent approval is a little bit outside of the planning and zoning. It's not like a subdivision that has a statutory wetlands approval before planning and zoning can act. That's,
Exactly.
does
That's
that
what she said.
sound what
Yeah.
Marla related to you too, Cindy?
Yes, that is exactly, yes, yes.
Thank you. Does that answer satisfy your, or add more information that you were looking for, Mr. Blackmer?
I think so. We don't have to be concerned about that as the discussion goes on tonight, if I understood this correctly.
You're correct. From what Marla communicated to me and from what I read from the minutes. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions from the commission at this time? Okay, then Tyra, I think we can open for the public portion of the public hearing.
Okay, and just, Mr. Chairman, I'm also going to unmute people who appear to only be on phone since they have no ability to type into the chat window. I would ask anybody who I am unmuting just to, if you have a comment, just please wait until whoever gets called on is done.
Thank you.
Okay, so chat is enabled. If you have a question, please type your name and address into the chat window and the chairman will call on you in order.
Okay, so the first person I saw in the chat is Nancy's iPhone. Nancy, if you could identify yourself by name and address as you begin your comment or question. Ms. Redding, you can begin.
She's definitely not muted. If you're having, you are unmuted on the screen, Nancy. So if for some reason we can't hear you, and that does happen sometimes on the phone, in this case, I would say type your question or your comment into the chat window, and I will read it for the chairman.
We'll move to Jennifer Burlingame.
Hello, Jennifer Burlingame, 480 Aquatic Town Farm Road. Tyra, can you share my document if you can hear me?
Yep, I can hear you and I've got it here. So let's see if this works. Share screen. My browser is preventing access to share screen. Interesting. Try it again.
Yeah, I see.
I mean, I'm the host, so I should have full ability to share screen. But I'm just going to reopen the document and see if that helps. I have to find it again. Jennifer Burlingame, one of these has an attachment. There it is. Oh, it's a compressed file. Jen, if you want to just start with your comment, can you possibly resend it to me? It's not opening. I had it open on my screen, but it wasn't letting me share it.
It's up there now, Tyra.
Tyra, I put it up.
It is?
Oh,
you got it. Okay. Thank you, Joe.
Yep.
Okay, as some of you may know or may not know, I am a direct abutter to this gravel driveway. Firstly, I'd like to say that the cease and desist, from what I read and my counsel has read, means no activity at all, and that has not stopped. It has decreased some, I will say that, but it has not stopped. He's here till 8:30 at night digging, 9 o'clock. Whenever he feels like stopping, he stops. Constant backup beeping. I go to bed at night and I hear beeping in my head. I should not have to listen to this noise at all. Fugitive dust from the driveway. It never ends unless it's raining. Cindy has been telling him for over a year to take care of the fugitive dust. It's not done. The digging, I'm getting dust. I have an outdoor room that's screened in. It's like I live at the beach, just so you know. The trucks entering and exiting, everything vibrates around here. If you want to come sit in my house, you're more than welcome. And regarding his water table, he is within 8 feet or less of the water table from the updated test results today. He doesn't listen to direction from anybody. As you can see, here's a copy of an email from Cindy. He refuses to shut down, refuses, does what he wants. He does not respect the neighborhood at all. Zero respect. Tyra, I don't know if you can go to the pictures, just a screenshot of what the land actually looked like in 1992. Obviously, I wasn't living here. I was living in Thompson in a different area, but you know, green. Next shot is an aerial view done professionally from March 2nd, 2020. This is before his cease and desist. It's like a playground down there, an ATM machine, basically. More pictures. I'm concerned with this last picture where the water goes into Stump Pond. If you look at it good, you maybe all be able to see it. It looks like there is material going into the water. That's what it looks like to me. I guess you don't have to be a rocket scientist to figure that out. Again, the water table results from today. The Rawson project, 8 feet was the limit. We're looking at no more materials to remove here, but yet today he was removing materials pretty much most of the day. I don't know where he's removing them to or who he's telling what to, but it's all inaccurate. The next thing is just a groundwater diagram in case anybody doesn't know what that is. That was taken offline. It's a pretty simple format just to show water recharge for our wells in the area. The next screen, 13, is basically what was approved for Mr. Rawson's project at 363, which, by the way, everybody made us think about it. It's really nice, and he's doing a great job. I don't have any complaints about it. I drive by it a million times a day. If I want anybody to think about anything, I want you to think about the water table in this neighborhood. If it is compromised, and I have talked to many professionals, including the state of Connecticut, and I've reached out to other people, we will have a serious problem. The wells are gone, forget it. What's the town gonna do? This is what I want to know. What are they going to do? And I have a few comments regarding Janet Blanchett's presentation. She says he's in such a rush to, you know, get this all done and put a house in. I have Mr. DeRosa's full file since 1997. I went in to get copies of it. He's been telling the boards he's been building a house since 1997. He could have built 20 houses since 1997. So if that's his excuse, produce the correct permits for this house. This is what I want to see. Because this is a gravel mining project with a fake cover that, oh, I'm building a house, I'm building a house. I want to see the house. And you know what? He's a bully. The neighbors around here don't want to deal with him. But I have to, because I have a house right next door and I have property to protect. And that's the town's job. I am a taxpayer. And yes, Charlene, I am a taxpayer. So this is where we're at. Robert, do you want to say anything?
Yeah, I'd also like
You
to
have to
say,
say
yeah,
it,
Robert
yeah.
Lemieux, 480 Quantic Town Farm Road. We've been dealing with this now steady for at least a year and a half. And it's been going on. Barnes trucks came out of there on a Sunday night at 12:03. We have all the videos, all the pictures to prove all this. Now we're sitting here trying to sleep and they're coming out on a Sunday at 12:10 in the morning. This shouldn't happen. Like he'll say, oh yeah, I'll stop working at 5, but he's down there now when he's like, actually not tonight, but when he's down there, June 3rd, I have pictures and a video of him leaving at 8:30 at night, digging, beep, 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 beep. That's all you hear. Now he's behind Nancy's house, she could see straight into his pit. All the dust goes right through his yard. I mean, her yard, and goes right up the, I mean, I don't have a problem with him building a house. I don't have a problem with him doing what he wants to do, but he's not doing it. Other companies, it's not just Barnes, it's Provost, it's all these little contractors. People are coming in and out of there. They got a free pass to get loom and move it down the road. Another thing, we always talked about how many trucks are on this road. This is a little area. We had a big discussion about how this road is. It's not safe for all these trucks. Now you want to add more trucks to this little area. The other sand pit is less than a half a mile down the road. It doesn't make sense to me. It's dangerous. If Ricky wants to build a house, keep his gravel in there, build his house, be done with it. But no, we had to prove to you guys. He told you in a meeting to your face, lied to your face and said he pulled out 500 yards of gravel. In 20 days, he did less work, and we proved to Cindy with video and backed up evidence that he pulled out over 6,000 yards of gravel. So why does he not get in trouble for this? Now we got a cease and desist. We figured, oh, it's quiet. He's been better. I will agree, he's been better. And like I said, I don't want to fight with the neighbor, but follow the rules. Go home at 5, you know? Don't work on Saturdays and Sundays and holidays. 4th of July last year, he was down there. I mean, nobody gets a break. Neighbors are swearing at him as he's pulling in. Give us a break. It's a holiday. I mean, we're not trying to be pains in the asses. I never had a problem with the guy, but it's getting to the point now I'm having a problem with the guy. And you know, there's way too many trucks out in this little area. Quiet corner, bullshit. I won't say it. You guys need to come down and visit this site. None of you have. Maybe a couple of you have. You've seen the pictures. I mean, Cindy's gone in and out of there. Marla's gone in. He drove an excavator through the wetlands over here. He took down every bit of woods behind our house and knocked trees down to prove a point. He's digging on the side of our driveway, almost ripped our telephone pole down.
Actually, excuse me, I will interject. I had to call Connecticut Eversource because he's mad because we're complaining. So we had a tree from him stuck up in the wires, so which would have caught on fire. So Eversource had to come out and take it down, and he was laughing about it.
He's laughing over that. He didn't even call Eversource to tell him.
I had to call
We have
Eversource.
pictures of that also.
We have
He
pictures.
has no disregard.
So I just
And like I said, I don't have a problem with him. Do it right. If you're gonna do it, build a house, build a damn house. Not Barnes trucks coming in 30 times in and out a day with 18 wheels shaking our whole foundation over here. It's getting ridiculous.
Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate you listening.
Thank you.
That's pretty much it. Sorry to scream at everybody, but you have to remember we are directly next to this, and the abuse has to stop.
And he gets to go home and to listen to quiet. We get to listen to quiet when he decides to leave. It's not right.
Thank you. Ms. Williams-Edwards, I'm sorry, Ms. Williams-Edwards?
Yeah, hi Joseph, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, you've got my address. Do you need me to state it again?
Yes, please.
131 Spicer.
Thank you.
So my commentary for this application is in regard to zoning. And my request after the battle for 363, as we refer to it, was that, you know, in due diligence and good faith, we were just directed by the commission to be a participant in these kinds of applications. So I did, in fact, go to every subcommittee regulation rewrite to get an understanding of where we were going. And I submitted my request. And all were rejected with the exception, I understand there might be 2 that are still being discussed. And where I'm going with this is that if ever any property would require, or at least be considered for a conservation checklist, I would ask that it be this one. What we're seeing here, this is on top of a river stream that is a Class A body. I have gone to the state of Connecticut. I've joined the Rivers Alliance on behalf of Thompson. I've gone to the Eastern Connecticut Conservation District with Judy Rondeau. I've talked to all of these people, and I said, what can we do? How can we stop mining on top of the water? And where we're really at is that it needs to come from you guys, if that's your vision for Thompson, okay? Right now, the water priorities are for water that's in trouble. You guys probably all know this. But why the heck would we not do preservation so we don't get there? My request to you is that the commission consider that we ask conservation to look, when you look at Jennifer's photos and you see how close this is to the water and you understand the behavior that's gone on here, that you take that into consideration, and that's what I'm asking of you tonight.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Williams-Edwards. Nancy Redding, we're going to try you again.
Yep, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Awesome, okay, it was the mic on my phone. So, Nancy Redding, 496 Quaddock Town Farm Road, a direct abutter to the pit in the back. To some of the facts that Jen gave, I can attest to as well. In fact, the night that they had the wetland meeting this week, I think he left about 6 o'clock from the lot. I actually wasn't sure he was going to make it home to the meeting. As far as the hours go, I too would also like to see that we ensure that we're consistent and we don't have Saturday hours. It's dangerous with the kids on the road down here. There's no sidewalks, on the road out in front of us here. So there's no place for people, and there's often bike rides coming through here, and people walking their dogs out here on the street, and on the weekends especially, because they're not working, although a lot of us home now. I really would like us to stay consistent with what we did with Rawson and not have hours on Saturday. I'm not sure why we would consider something different. They're literally like 5 houses away from each other, the 2 pits. I am very concerned about the water table because we're uphill here and we're pumped down in to get our well water. So very concerned about that. Dust mitigation as well. I think Cynthia mentioned there may have been a fuel pad installed. That is definitely a concern as well, because he's been operating down there for off and on for the last couple of years, more heavily in the last year than he had been previously. So I even have pictures going back and videos going back to February and March. In February, when he had a huge bonfire the night we lost our power because there were hurricane force winds out here. And he had a huge bonfire that was probably the size of my barn going back there with his excavator. So, and that was probably, I want to say it was 11 or 12 when we lost power, and we were taking those videos out the window. So I definitely want to make sure that operations are between the hours that are given and no operation outside of that. It concerns me that he was given a cease and desist and he's been operating out there nightly. Not every single night I've heard him. I'm not in the yard every single night. I definitely work out of the house, and it's very, you can hear the beeping quite loud because it carries up the hill. The road in front of our house is in not the best shape. And I know we talked about the road and the cost that the town is getting for these types of activities within the town. It's concerning that we don't really get these roads repaired. Definitely this road is seeing its wear and tear from Rawson already. There's ruts out in front of our house that wake everyone in the local neighborhood up when anybody drives over them now because the holes are so bad. If you look at an aerial photograph from the pit here and the Rawson pit down the street, you'll notice that this one rivals it in size. Definitely as well. What else did I want to mention? I think that's it. I mean, again, I'm really concerned about the hours, concerned about the road conditions. There's an awful lot of trucks. for this road with both of these pits running on this road now. There's definitely a lot of volume going on here, with kids and stuff up and down the street. So that's it for now. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Redding. Mr. Mann?
Thank you. Robert Mann, 15 Meadow Drive. I just want to read out of section 5 in the permitting, the general, and under H, it's page 90 if anybody wants to follow along. It says general conditions. This is under criteria, this is under the gravel mining section. Final grade shall be adequate to provide proper surface drainage to the excavated area. No excavation below highway grade shall be nearer said highway than 25 feet, nor nearer any building or structure on any adjacent land than 200 feet, nor nearer any property 20 feet. No slope shall exceed 10% in the area within 25 feet to 200 feet from a highway and 30% elsewhere. The bottom of excavation shall be 8 feet above the water table. Now, I just want to stipulate that shall means mandatory and non-discretionary in our regulations. And from these test tubes, the test pipes that he's got there, he's already at 8 feet. He's already excavated all he can. Looming, seeding, and planting of trees and other ground cover may be required depending on the location and possible use. Excavation shall not be conducted between the hours of 5 p.m. and 7 a.m. except for municipal purposes exclusive of Sundays and holidays. Then it just names the holidays. Anyway, you guys can follow along with that. A few other things. There's an awful lot of stockpiled material on that lot if you watch Jennifer's pictures. And we all know that the excavation's been going on and ongoing. He's been stockpiling new materials. He's had screeners, he's had rock crushers, he's got rock piles. He's even had he even trucked in road grindings at one time. There's a huge pile of road grindings there. I don't know why that's not a big concern. His property is, you look up the Spicer Road ERT survey. It's an environmental research survey that was done when they were, and these lots are mentioned. It's directly in the NDDB map, which is like an area that's for endangered species. There's been a lot of damage done here already. His property on the state of Connecticut website, if you go and you do the overlays, his whole property is a watershed. So that's where the wells in the whole area and the aquifer actually regenerate themselves. It's very concerning. A few other things. If you go online, you can look up J&J Construction LLC.net. He sells materials. This is easily and personally known everywhere. He even advertises selling materials, and the pictures on the website, if you go and look this up, are pictures of this gravel pit, not another gravel pit, this gravel pit. So he's already advertising that he's been running a business out of this gravel pit. And that website was set up in 2008, and he was not permitted in 2008. I appreciate your time. I hope we truly can all protect the citizens of Thompson. It's definitely an ongoing concerning thing. I hate to speak against things, but this is what we have to do to protect our own. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Mann. Ms. St. Ange?
I'm unmuting Amy right now. Hold on.
Go ahead,
Good
Amy.
evening. Good evening. Not sure where to begin. I'm speaking as a resident. This is Amy St. Ange, 139 Riverside Drive. I've been following this pretty closely over the last year. And I guess one of the things that jumps out to me tonight is Ms. Burlingame's information that she provided in regard to the water table. And I think it's something that this commission really should take a serious look at, because the last thing that this town needs is another problem that might become a legal issue that might cost our taxpayers even more money to defend. A second point was brought up tonight that I thought was rather interesting, and I hope the commission considers it, was about the fact that there would be 2 gravel mining operations so close to one another on a road that is already traveled heavily by large trucks, and it's a relatively narrow road with lots of curves and bends, and really it's just important to consider that you'll be allowing more traffic for these residents. And I guess the last thing that I wanted to bring up tonight was that with this case, there's been a high level of disrespect and disregard for rules and regulations. And I'm not so sure that this kind of behavior should be rewarded with a permit. At what point do we start as a town saying that, you know what, regulations are in place for a reason? So I would like the commission to seriously consider the fact that a cease and desist had to be issued. And after that was issued, work continued. There's blatant disregard and disrespect, and that should weigh heavily on your decision tonight. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. St. Ange. Ms. Arsenault?
I'm going to unmute Gail.
Gail Arsenault, 157 Spicer Road. I just have a concern that Mr. DeRosiers has been operating for the past 12 years as a rogue operant without a permit. And I have a concern about all of the gravel that has been taken out there, and the revenue has not been realized by the town of Thompson, the 2 cents per cubic yard. I also think that if we're encouraging other businesses to come to Thompson, even gravel mining businesses, we're doing it so that the town may realize some revenue and we all pay our fair share of taxes. So I think at this point in time, if the commission is even considering to grant this permit, that there should be a fine imposed for every year for the past 12 years that this has been happening. And there should also be some type of resolution for or restitution for the gravel that has been taken out of there in 12 years without a permit. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Arsenault. I believe I've gotten to everyone who indicated through the chat box that they wished to comment. I know Tyra had mentioned that if that some of you who are just in on a phone may not be able to easily access the chat function. So I would welcome your participation now if you have a comment or question.
How do we do this?
Ms. Burlingame?
Jennifer Burlingame, 480 Aquatic Town Farm Road. Obviously, I would love to see the true colors of this application be noticed by the commission, but you have to remember all the violations he has for wetlands as well. And I was also informed by council that if he can't follow the rules, he should be bonded. Additionally, to follow the rules. So not only the bonding per acreage, but follow the rules. Put your own money where your mouth is. If you say you're going to do something, put the money there. That's all I'm saying. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Redding?
Yeah, just another quick comment or question. Will the board be commenting back on how they will handle the review of the water table concern? Will they be making sure that if the material removed already meets what's listed in the code, that there would be no more material removed in those areas?
Thank you. I'm sure there will be some conversation about the water table in the commission's discussion. Thank you, Ms. Redding. Ms. Williams-Edwards.
Yes, thanks, Joseph. One final comment on my end as well. So to someone's point earlier, with the behavior that we've seen here and the disregard for rules, I wonder if this application would be approved, what incentive there would be for anyone to follow the rules. You know, we fought really hard for 383 and, I'm sorry, 363. And Rawson has told the line. He heard us. He respected us. And we amongst ourselves have had conversation that said, you know, if you're going to have a gravel mining operation, if you have to have one, because we feel the pain in this back corner. We call it Thompson's dirty little back corner secret because it doesn't affect downtown. And we feel like it was very evident in the new zoning regs that all the focus was put on downtown, but we matter. We bring a lot of revenue to this town. And my question would be, what incentive would there be when Rawson can see what's going on over there? Why would anybody do it by the rules after this? It's just, and is it, what's behind that? How is that allowed? And one has to ask, what, you know, is it a conflict of interest? We all know, I mean, we're not stupid. This is a small town. So it really needs to be looked at. And I think it's time to give some respect to the East Thompson residents that are doing the right thing. They're coming to the meetings. We're voicing our opinion. And we have rights too. And we had a chance to get it right in these zoning regs. And we can't get it right if it's not recognized by you guys on the commission to be our partner. We were totally disregarded. And we're asking you to hear us again and give us some consideration. We haven't approved the regs and you haven't approved this application. And we really need to partner with you because we're going to keep coming back and we're not going to give up on this. It needs to be fixed and it needs to be done right if it's going to be done. And it needs to be done by the rules. And they can't be some gray matter of, you know, interpretation that stretches it to China. It needs to have some parameters and it needs to have boundaries and it needs to make sense for the neighborhoods and for the town, for the revenue, for all of us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, when it's appropriate, I'd like to answer or address the water table question.
Certainly. Yeah, let me just see if there are any other questions or comments from the public at this time. Okay, hearing none, Ms. Blanchett.
I'd like to explain the water table elevations and the situations, and I do understand the concern of the neighbors. Rest assured, there is no further excavation lower into the ground than has already occurred and was approved in the 2002 earth excavation permit on file in the town hall. That permit allowed an elevation to go down to 410 because at that time, the regulations of the town allowed an excavation to within 4 feet of the groundwater table. So the groundwater table on this site is between an average of between elevations 405 and 406. So the proposed grading to be 8 feet above that should be above 413 and 414. And the plans clearly indicate that it is. And in fact, there is some area near the proposed house that will actually be filled at the bottom of, so there's no deeper excavation towards the groundwater table whatsoever. That's probably most evident on sheet 3. If you look at the proposed contour lines on the right-hand side of this sheet, you can see they start immediately coming up from the approved elevation that had been 410. It goes right up 412, 414, right up to 430 and more.
Where?
Oh. Mr. Werge?
So Janet, you're confident that that Mr. DeRosa is above the 8 feet?
The previously approved section that has already been complete and is flat is not more than 8 feet above the groundwater table. It was approved to be 4 feet above the groundwater table in the year 2,000. That's what it was. He didn't excavate below that. He followed the rules that were in place at the time, and there's no proposal to go below that. And in fact, the new grades are well above that.
Well, above it. Thank you.
Ms. Langlers, did you have a question?
I guess I'm just wondering, like, where is the citizens getting the information from? If Janet is saying that it's fine, where is the information that they're getting coming from? Is, you know what I'm saying? Like, obviously, it sounds like two different stories. So is it, are they not understanding? Is Janet not explaining enough to them? Or are they looking at a different table? Like, I'm just not sure how we can be on the same piece of property, but it's so totally different.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm not sure. It may result from the different regulations at the time of the previous project that may be causing some confusion. Good question. Mr. Santos, I think you had a question or a comment?
Yeah, thanks. Can you, Joe, are you running the screen share? Can you bring up sheet 2?
Absolutely. Give me just 1 second.
Yeah, it might be a question for Janet as well. So if you can zoom into the left there on standpipe number 1, right? Just a little bit, just so everyone sees where I'm talking about here. Yeah, that's good enough, Joe, right there. You can see standpipe number 1. So I actually in the background here, I love the internet. I took Rob Mann's suggestion and went on Ricky's website. And granted, I don't know when those photos were taken, so I don't mean to put in some sort of timeline. But Janet, it looks like standpipe number 1 was in the previous permit, and that elevation, let's just call that, for talking purposes, elevation 0. Okay. The phase 1 excavation area there to the right, it looked from the photos that I was looking at is still up here somewhere. That's my first question. Is that still true as of today? I can't hear you.
I'm sorry, Mr. Santos, I don't exactly understand the question.
Yeah, it looks like in the standpipe number 1 there, where it was left, it was at, let's call that elevation 0. And then the phase 1 excavation area to the right of it, where is at a higher elevation.
Yes.
Is that still true as of today?
That was still true as of when it was surveyed.
Yep.
2 weeks ago.
Okay, I guess
I didn't remeasure the grades today.
I'm just saying in general, it's higher, right? Yeah. So in phase 1, is that 10,900 cubic yards coming out of this area coming down, or
yeah,
how is that?
The 10,900, see where the bolded box is? It says phase 1 active excavation area.
Yep.
It's up in there. And if you look at the proposed contours in that vicinity, you'll see there in the 420s.
Yeah, I guess my point is, and it's kind of to the public, at standpipe number 1, you gave us readings and you just kind of listed out the averages of the water table, and they range from day to day, right? And if you bring up that screen again, it'll show like whatever, 8 feet and then 7'9" and then whatever. My point is, if he's digging down, if that's the reading at standpipe number 1 and that's at elevation 0 and he's digging down, you're not hitting the water table if you're not going below standpipe number 1. So I don't think there's an issue in that particular regard, in my opinion.
Right, because what you're saying, Brian, is the standpipe is, and Ms. Blanchett, I think, is around 410. Is
the ground in the previously excavated area ranges between, like, say, 409 and 412, but there's no proposal to make that go any lower.
Lower, correct. That's my point.
It's not going lower.
That's my point exactly.
Thank you, Mr. Santos. Anything else from the commission?
All right, this is Randy.
Yeah,
Janet, if, in your opinion, is to get this material, is this stuff that he's shipping out, is that mainly stockpiled already so that he's not mining, he's cleaning up stockpiles, or am I not understanding this correctly?
Well, that's a good question. There's actually a lot of just regrading. So the earth that's being moved would be in excess of the 10,000 that's being taken out, but there will be, a net cut of the 10,900. But there's going to be a lot more just moving around.
And what is the elevation where the access to the property hits Aquatic Town Farm Road?
492.
So that's a cut he's making to get down to the 410.
That's correct.
Okay.
Actually, right near the road, there's actually a fill to make it, a smooth road profile. But then after that, it's a cut.
And that's a 50-foot cut then
The existing ground also slopes down, so it's not 50 feet. I would say at the most, it's about a 22-foot cut.
Okay, thank you. So actually, I haven't been out there, is the access road to the property, is that going to get lowered right there so that he's dropping that 20 feet where the access road is?
Yes, in the most case, there's a section where it's going to be lowered 20 feet.
Okay. Okay. Anything else from the commission?
Joseph John Rice.
Mr. Rice.
I don't know if it's just the right time, but in Cindy's comments, the things that she had in her report that have to be corrected, what I had read, I think everything is on the plan, has been corrected as far as the blasting, the times of operation, that's on the plans already. She said something about making an amendment to the application. But I think the only amendment that we have to make to that application is to add 8J to lot 8J and the gravel operation be in 2 phases. Correct me if I'm wrong there, Cindy, but most of these concerns that you have, haven't they been addressed and put on the site plan?
The concerns I had on the site plans have been addressed and are on the site plans, yes.
All right.
They are. The three amendments has to do with the business name, has to do with the adding the extra lot, and has to do with the wording of the application as to what it is. It's gravel operation permit, gravel operation removal permit. I don't have that paper in front of me right now, I'm sorry. But and they did add the signs on the plan too, which was my suggestion to do.
Cindy?
Mr.
Yes.
Hill?
Yeah, Alvin Hill, Cindy. You request that the Saturday hours be changed. That should be part of the amendments as well?
Yes.
From 7 to 12 p.m.
Well, amendments or conditions, you want to do that as a condition.
That would likely be a condition of a potential
Okay.
approval.
Okay.
Am I allowed to make a comment to relate something to one of the citizens' comments? My cease and desist notification, and I understood when I can't remember which person said it, that I did not tell him to cease and desist the gravel operation. I actually did. The cease and desist does say cease and desist the gravel operation. Any activity, and you can ask Mr. DeRosa, from what I understand, any activity had to do with him moving things around on his property or bringing stuff to jobs that he's on, bringing material to jobs that he's on. As far as the crushed asphalt pile, that is for his future driveway that's sitting there on the property. That was made reference to also. And there is a big stockpile of that, definitely, on the property. And I asked him about it, and he said that is for his driveway.
If I can interject again, Joe.
Mr. Rice?
With Cindy, in relation to that comment about the grindings, the state, as everybody probably knows, if you've been on 395 out here, is that they are grinding that highway and they can't give that stuff away fast enough to anybody that wants it. So if you go around town, you'll see a lot of people are getting that grinding. So if you had property and you had a use for it, you could get it for free. So I don't see a problem with anybody stockpiling material in that sense.
Thank you, Mr. Rice.
I just guess, yep, I just want to say, so we're planning and zoning, and we should look at this as a permit. And if the citizens are not happy with the applicant's performance, that's a separate issue. We don't have any control over that. We don't punish the citizens by withholding an application because of somebody's behavior. That's not our job, correct?
So to speak, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Is that it's our job to punish somebody, or is it our job to look at an application and approve or disapprove of it?
Based on the regulations.
On the regulations.
Right.
Okay.
So the compliance will come after the operation. If the operation is approved, then the compliance comes afterwards. And of course, any complaint that comes in, legitimate complaint, would need to be addressed by the zoning office. Yes.
Mr. Lenke, did you have a question?
Yeah. My concern and my feeling about all of this is I personally think that we should take this into an executive session and discuss everything that was just brought up by the citizens, as well as what Charlene's concern is and a few other people. I have my concerns, but I think it's something that we need to deal with in our in-house first before I think we can go forward with this. Because it's all it's doing is opening up a big can of worms here for us for whatever reason. I think we need to address it among ourselves first. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lenke.
Mr. Chairman, I think just for John's response to John Rice, is that there's only certain criteria that you can go into a executive session, and that's the negotiation of wages and things of that nature, or a contract. This is out of the realm of an executive session requirement.
Right.
If I may, while I have the floor here, it's just that, they talked about the endangered species in that area. It seems like, there was a lot of houses developed in that area, and apparently nobody was concerned with the endangered species at that time, building their own home. So, and my put on that Grosson gravel pit, to me, I haven't been down there for 2 or 3 weeks, but it looks like it's winding down. And in my view, it's it's 1,000% better than what it was. That individual, whomever he may be, that bought that house and that farmhouse, is he put a new roof on that garage or that barn, he's planting a garden there, and the house is better. The whole site looks 100%. And all that concern that they had about that development, I hope it fell on deaf. Whatever they think it's a nice and much added to the area. Myself personally.
Thank you. At this time, I think it would be appropriate to entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
Also move, John Rice.
Second it, Rob Ward.
I'll second it, Alvin Hill.
Motion made by Mr. Rice and seconded by Mr. Wurge to close the public hearing. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, it will be a yes to close the public hearing, no to keep it open. Mr. Lenke?
Yes.
Mr. Lenke, yes. Mr. Wurge?
Yes.
Mr. Wurge, yes. Ms. Chattel?
Yes.
Ms. Chattel, yes. Mr. Santos?
Yes.
Mr. Santos, yes. Mr. Hill?
Yes.
Mr. Hill, yes. Ms. Langlois?
Charlene Langlois, yes.
Mr. Rice?
John Rice, yes.
Mr. Blackmer?
Randy Blackmer, yes.
And Joseph Perotti Brown, yes. The public hearing is now closed. Looking at the agenda as published, our next item as written on the agenda is to adjourn. I would also entertain a motion to amend the agenda to take action on the public hearing if that is the wish of the commission at this time.
John Rice, I'll make that motion, Joe.
Mr. Rice
To add
moves.
the public hearing action, however you want to word that.
Mr. Rice moves to amend the agenda to add item 3, discuss the public hearing and potential action. Is there a second to Mr. Rice's motion?
I second it.
Mr. Wurge seconds the motion. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, it'll be a yes to amend, no to keep the agenda as written. Mr. Blackmer?
Yes.
Mr. Rice?
John Rice, yes.
Ms. Langlois?
Charlene Langlois, yes.
Mr. Hill?
Alvin Hill, yes.
Mr. Santos?
Brian Santos, yes.
Ms. Chattel?
Christine Chattel, yes.
Mr. Wurge?
Robert Ward, yes.
Mr. Lenke?
John B. Linky, yes.
And Joseph Perotti Brown, yes. Okay, item 3, discuss public hearing and potential action.
Joe, John Rice.
Mr. Rice is recognized.
Should we start with Cindy's comments or concerns with changing the application? So we're acting on the proper application format. If that's okay, I would make a motion that we change the application. I believe Cindy wanted J&J. Cindy, can you refresh however that change was? Or was that made on the application already? Cindy?
I think I can take a stab at it.
Okay, I got it. I was muted. I apologize. No, I did not have her have Rick to change the application. The application should be amended to read: the applicant's name is Richard P. DeRosa, DBA J&J Construction, LLC. And it is consistent with the town clerk's certificate of adoption of trade name from 2002.
I didn't get his middle initial, Cindy.
P.
P
Richard
is-
P.
Is it
P
Peter?
as in Paul.
Paul or Peter, okay. Then if I'm in order, Joe, I'll make that motion to change the applications of the applicant's name to Richard P. DeRozier, DBA J&J Construction.
Okay,
I'll
motion,
second.
motion has been made by Mr. Rice, seconded by Ms. Langlois to amend the application to read Richard P. DeRozier's DBA J&J Construction. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, yes to amend, no to leave as is. Mr. Lenke.
John B. Linky, yes.
Mr. Werge.
Robert Word, yes.
Ms. Chattel.
Christine Chattel, yes.
Mr. Santos.
Brian Santos, yes.
Mr. Hill.
Alvin Hill, yes.
Mr. Rice.
John Rice, yes.
Mr. Blackmer.
Randy Blackmer, yes.
Joseph Brody Brown, yes.
Charlie, oh, do I have to say mine or no? I seconded it.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry I missed you. Ms. Langlois.
Charlie Langlois, yes.
My apologies. People jumped around. Mr. Rice, do you want to continue?
Yes, make another motion to amend the application to indicate that it's a gravel operation in 2 phases.
Motion has been made to amend the application to indicate gravel operation in 2 phases.
I'll second that motion.
Motion made by Mr. Rice, seconded by Mr. Hill. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, yes to amend, no to leave as is. Mr. Lenke.
John B. Linky, yes.
Mr. Werge.
Robert Word, yes.
Mr. Santos.
Brian Santos, yes.
Mr. Hill.
Alvin Hill, yes.
Ms. Langlois.
Charlie Langlois, yes.
Mr. Rice.
John Rice, yes.
Mr. Blackmer.
Randy Blackmer, yes.
Ms. Chattel.
Christine Chattel, yes.
Joseph Brody Brown, yes. Mr. Rice.
Brian, why don't you take this one?
All you, buddy.
Okay, I'll make a motion. I don't have it in front of me, Joe or Cindy, what the application number is.
The application is,
1-08.
is 20-08, and you are, the third amendment is to amend the lot and amend it to say lots 8-1 and 8J.
It's 8A. A is an alpha.
No, 8-1 and 8J as in Joseph.
8-1. Okay, I had the 8J, but okay. If I'm gonna roll there, Mr. Parodi, I'll make a motion to amend the application and the site plan to include adding lot 8J and 8-1 to the site plan and application.
Motion has been made.
Randy Blackmer seconds.
Second. Any discussion on the motion? Yeah, I see Janet's come back in because I don't think it's 8-1. I think it's lot 8I.
That's correct, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, I apologize. It is 8I, sorry.
Mr. Rice, would you amend your motion?
I'll amend my motion to indicate 8I from 8-1.
Yeah.
In other words, we'll amend the application and the site plan to add lots 8J as in Joseph and 8I as, I forgot what that was for the military.
India.
Indigo.
And Mr. Blackmer, do you second the motion as amended?
Yes, I do.
Okay, the motion has been made and seconded to amend the application to indicate lots 8I and 8J. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, it's a yes to amend, no to leave as is. Mr. Lenke.
John B. Linky, yes.
Mr. Werge.
Word, yes.
Mr. Santos.
Brian Santos, yes.
Mr. Hill.
Alvin Hill, yes.
Ms. Langlois.
Darlene Langlois, yes.
Mr. Rice,
John Rice, yes.
Mr. Blackmer,
Randy Blackmer, yes.
Ms. Chattel,
Christine Chattel, yes.
Joseph Brody Brown, yes. Okay, now that the application has been amended in alignment with the ZEO's recommendations, the floor is open to commissioners for discussion on the public hearing and action on the application.
Well, I do think that to follow suit with Rossins, we should have the truck entering signs. That would make sense. That would hopefully slow people down, knowing that there's activity on that road, and they should already be aware of it coming from the 363 side. And so if that is what Cindy's recommendation is, I think that that would be appropriate.
Cindy, my understanding is that that's already indicated on the site plans, correct?
Yes, the signs are added to the site plan on sheet 2 and will be installed on Quantic Town Farm Road.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Pressure on. Oh.
Is there, Joe, is there schedule information on that plan too, Cindy? Like phase 1 completion by 2020 and phase 2 completion, say in 2 years?
Well, the permit's for a year, right? It's for a year.
Per year? Yeah, that's correct. Yep, that's correct. But can we put schedule information on there? I understand that they have to renew the permit in a year, but can we put, just want to put an end date to phase 2 and with an understanding that, yeah, he has to re-pull the permit again, but.
Yeah, Mr. Santos, on sheet, I want to make sure, it's the final sheet of the site plan. It does say complete phase 1 by the end of 2020, restore previous permitted area with topsoil and seed by September 1st, 2020, complete phase 2 by the end of 2022.
Thank you very much.
Notes are on the site plan.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you, Joe. I would have to look at the big map on my table here on the big site plan. Thank you.
Yeah.
Joe, if there's no other comments from the commission, I'll make a motion to approve application 20-08. And I'm gonna make conditions with that. The conditions being the hours of operation, that according to our regulations, I think our regulations, I don't know, the people are concerned on a Saturday. I would like to limit that operation to Saturday at noontime. That would be a condition of the approval. What else was their concerns? That would be it as far as I remember, unless the commission members have any other that we could add to that approval with conditions.
Motion has been made by Mr. Rice to approve application 20-08 with the condition that operations on Saturdays be limited from 7 a.m. till noon.
Noontime.
Just one comment, Joe.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, yeah, so just 1 minute, Mr. Santos. Motion has been made and seconded by Mr. Hill. Discussion on the motion. I recognize Mr. Santos.
I just with the wetlands full approval, that's going to be coming after this? Should we make that a condition, I guess, is with that blessing? I wasn't real clear earlier whether or not that was totally approved and done. Should we make that a condition of this approval?
They're not doing anything in the wetlands. What the wetlands is working with Rick, and correct me, Janet, well, because we discussed it, I think Janet can correct me if I'm wrong. That has to do with the upland review, why they're with the inland wetlands, because they're not working in inland wetland. They're not working in wetlands area.
I understand. Okay.
So basically, it's not required.
Right.
Very good.
Exactly.
Want to make that clear.
If you guys need any further clarification, Chairman O'Neill is still on. I can see that he's here. Do you need me to unmute George? Are you guys good?
I don't think we can do that.
No, I think it's clear that, or I think the understanding is that the upland review issue is separate from this application.
Okay. Very good. Thank you.
No Saturdays.
This is Amy St. Ange speaking as first selectman. Just curious, are you going to apply the same rules that you've applied for strategic commercial, Rawson Materials? Rules, I'm not sure, are they able to haul on Saturdays? Are they able to work on Saturdays? What about dust control, various things like that? I just think that if you're going to have rules for one gravel mining operation just down the road, the rules should be the same for both operations.
The dust control would be under compliance, Amy.
Yeah, that's in the regulations, Amy, that has to be done.
Okay, and hours of operation?
Yeah, that's part of the permit. That's why I made an amendment or a condition of the approval. The hours of operation will be changed, be limited to on Saturday till noontime.
But if I understand correctly, Rawson cannot operate on Saturdays or holidays.
I believe that was Rawson's choice. I think they offered that without being threatened at all or anything.
Yeah, or being part of it. Part of the permit approval, yeah.
But Randy's right, they did choose to do that.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Lenke.
Rawson did agree to the Saturday and not operating on a Saturday, but on one of the meetings when we were discussing it, I can't remember if it was the second meeting. It was brought up in the discussion that would he have a problem not operating on Saturday? And he said they said they would have no problem not operating on a Saturday, just operate Monday through Friday. And then they agreed with us and we agreed with them that would be put into the permit, by my recollection.
So what you're saying, John, is that the commission suggested it and the applicant was amenable to it? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, thank you.
I'm in communication with Mr. Rawson right now, and I want to reiterate that the public asked that there be no Saturdays, and I think in this case, the public is asking again. We're just not in a public space right now. Unfortunately, we're on Zoom.
Yeah. Thank you, Ms. St. Ange. So yeah, so I guess that's a question before us now.
No, I think the motion is before us, Joe.
Yeah, no, I know, and we're discussing the motion. And so if I hypothetically wanted to, restrict them from working any Saturdays, I would share that in this discussion and then potentially vote no on the motion, right? But I think it's been our practice to try to reach a consensus through discussion on the motion and amend motions that are agreeable to the commission. I think that's the way we've worked in the past.
I'm just concerned with, not to say what Amy being selectman, but that's still information after the public hearing is closed.
As the first selectman, she's an ex officio member of the commission.
That's right, true, correct.
Would this have any bearing on if Mr. DeRosa wanted to go up there on Saturday afternoon for prepping where he's going to put his house or some other improvement or whatever to his property on his time? Is this going to say that he can't start a machine, he can't go up his driveway afternoon time or not on Saturday at all? Or is this just a gravel operation, shipping gravel out?
Yeah, our permit is strictly limited to the gravel operation.
So then when the gravel operation, if we were hypothetically to say he can only do gravel mining Monday through Friday, but Saturday as the owner of the property, he can work down there, that's okay, or is that a building permit?
Yeah, our restrictions our conditions rather would only be germane to the gravel excavation.
Okay. Does he haul out on Saturdays? I know, like, I mean, he can if we say that he can. Does Barnes do that on Saturdays, or could he get everything done Monday through Friday?
Well, if you put that condition on him for excavating and hauling out, it has to be Monday through Friday.
So then, but it still allows him to work on Saturday.
For his own purpose.
For his own, correct.
See, that comes up, Charlotte, that would come underneath the building committee, the building inspector's office and everything. And, you know, what you do on your own, it's like you buying a piece of property, all of a sudden you want to build a house and the guy wants to work Saturday and Sunday.
He can.
There's nothing, he can't. There's nothing we can, it's just strictly mining or hauling in, hauling out or whatever, you know, or whatever it concerns to that application. That's it.
Okay. Can you do?
If, Charlene, I'm sorry, if it apparently is the consensus of Joe, you can check to see if the consensus of the commission that there be no Saturday work hours relative to the gravel permit. Would that suffice?
I think that's a good idea, Mr. Rice.
I agree.
I agree.
Okay, well, we'll find out if we vote on it, but Joe, then I would further amend that, my approval to include no Saturday work relative to the gravel mining operation.
Okay, so Mr. Rice has amended his motion. Mr. Hill, do you second it as amended?
Yes, Calvin Hill.
The motion has been made to approve application 20-08 with the condition that work be conducted Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. through 5 p.m. only. That is the motion as before us. Any further discussion on the motion?
Do you want to leave the word work in there, or do you want to specifically say the mining part? Because then I don't want them to come back and say he's working on Saturday and Sunday. Like, what is working?
Yeah, so our permitting is only related to the gravel work.
Okay, yep. I know you've said that over and over. I feel like when it's not worded that way, it's an open end.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you, Ms. Langlois. Any further discussion on the motion as made? Okay, hearing none, it will be a yes to approve application 20-08 with conditions, no to not approve. Mr. Lenke.
John B. Lenke, yes.
Point of order, where does the working Saturday fit in? Did we vote on that? Or would I take a nap or what?
I'm sorry, so John amended his motion and Alvin seconded the motion as amended. So the conditions in the motion are work will only occur Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 5 p.m.
Thank you.
And,
You're welcome.
and the other condition, Joe, if somebody has it, why don't they read the whole motion? That way everybody's on board.
Okay,
With
yeah,
the motion and the conditions. Is Gloria on tonight or?
Yes, I'm here.
Or is Tina doing it?
Yeah, no.
Tara.
Gloria is here. Gloria, are you able to?
I'm
Are you
going
able to read back the motion to us?
Going back to Tina Fox.
Okay, motion to approve application 20-08 with the conditions, hours of operation being Monday through Friday, 7 to 5, and no Saturday hours with work relative to the gravel mining operation.
Thank you. Does that sound as you desired it, John?
Yes.
Mr. Lenke, I will then, having heard that again, I will ask again. Mr.
Joe,
Lenke?
can I interrupt you here for a minute?
Yeah.
Before you take the vote? Don't you have to put with his original motion and then say the amendment that you amended the original motion?
The motion we're voting on is the motion as amended.
Okay, all right. Just want to make sure it's clear and legal. Okay.
Thank you. Mr. Lenke?
John B. Lanky, yes.
Mr. Werge?
Robert Werge, yes.
Mr. Santos?
Brian Santos, yes.
Mr. Hill?
Alvin Hill, yes.
Ms. Langlois?
Colleen Langlois, yes.
Mr. Rice?
Don Rice, yes.
Mr. Blackmer?
Randy Blackmer, yes.
Ms. Chattel?
Christine Chattel, yes.
Joseph Purdy Brown, yes. The application is approved with conditions. And with that, we move to what is now item 4 on the agenda. I will entertain a motion.
I entertain the motion.
Motion by
I'll
Mr.
second.
Lenke to adjourn, seconded by Mr. Hill, I believe. The
Yes.
meeting is adjourned at 8:52 p.m. Thank you all.
Good night.
Thank you. Good night.
Good
Good
evening,
job,
everyone.
Joe.
Good night, thank you.
Good night.
God
You
bless.
did good. You did good, Joe.